This video is going to be a just so story version of the timeline for things that happened in Delphi, Indiana. And then I'm going to get to the comments for the day that don't make any sense. Feel free to read them at the end if we have time. Richard Allen, 2001, 40 caliber Smith & Wesson, a SIG Sauer P226. We're still not being told the chambering. Serial number listed below. Delphi, Indiana, 2017. Crime scene bullet cartridge, only listed as 40 caliber bullet. Repeatedly using the word bullet. An unfired bullet is an oxymoron unless it was from a loading bench and not put into a gun. I'm not sure why they won't just say cartridge. Again, when you see people who are expert in the field avoiding using the correct terminology. But anyway, let's go on. In 2017, Richard Allen told the cops and proffered this, that he wore a dark Carhart jacket and jeans and a face covering on that day. He also told them that for 2 hours he looked up stocks on his phone while fish watching by the bridge or on the bridge. That's some vagary there. Now, we can figure out the timing from that because a CCTV recording was made showing his specific 2016 Ford Focus leaving the area. It's about a year old. And that was at 2:30 p.m. So that puts that at this timing. He arrived there by, let's say, 12:30, but we really don't know. Let's say 2 hours is accurate. We're going to assume he's accurate about it because he proffered that at the time and had no problem with them double checking it somehow. Was he using a stock market app that would let you find out when he was looking up stuff? The fact is, every stock market routine I could find, if it would record anything, would not record that he looked up stocks. It would just be in his browser history and him looking up stock information. 2:13 p.m. is when the bridge guy was filmed. So from the time he showed up to almost 2 hours later, just about 2:13, is when a person matching his description was on the bridge. Witnesses also say they saw a sedan parked at the old CPS building, and that could have been his car. Okay, let's assume all of this is accurate. 2:13. 2:30, the nearby CCTV camera recorded his car leaving the area. So he was in it. And then 4 p.m., a muddy and bloody man was asserted to have been walking on the road north of the crime scene. Apparently walking west or east. It would have been probably walking west if he was trying to get to the car, but the car already left hours earlier. He returned to the scene of the crime? So that's why they're mumbling about it being two people. Okay, but the trouble is we're getting now two people dressed identically that could have been bridge guy. Okay, let's do a hypothetical run from the bridge. Let's not even be fair. Let's give the opportunity for him to run from the bridge at 2:13 and have a little over 15 minutes to get to the car and drive past wherever that camera was. The officer report originally said they found a 40 caliber pistol and a SIG Sauer P226. And that one is one he claimed to have bought in 2001. Allen's attorney insisted the affidavit be unsealed. That's where the source of our information is. His own attorney at the time. Was it a 10 millimeter auto type firearm that the cartridge came from that also could be called 40 caliber? Was it a 40 Super? Was it a 40 Smith & Wesson? Why aren't they telling us the cartridge? Did it pop out without him noticing from a gun? Did he have it in his pocket? Was it forgetfulness about the carry condition that allowed it to be chambered and ejected because he didn't know that, did he do a mag change or did he rack the slide to show somebody he meant business as an implied threat? Was this a result of a light or no primer struck in the back of the cartridge so it wasn't actually fired? Now I want to bring up something very interesting. They keep using the word bullet and it's making me pissed off, number one. Stop saying bullet. Is it a cartridge or not? Cartridge means bullet, propellant, and primer. Are they saying bullet? Did he have a reloading bench? And did he misload his 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge without propellant? or with a dead primer? Or was it a bad primer, just a defective primer that didn't go off? Did he seat it too deeply to where it had a light primer strike, so he had to eject the cartridge? That would explain why it was between where the girls were found. They didn't bring up the primer strike. They haven't even told us what cartridge it is or what chambering this gun was in. It comes in more than one chambering. And their aftermarket kits to force it to be in other chamberings. A forensics examination, evaluation, identification of indentations, abrasions, cutting tool marks, and other things, and random debris effects on an unfired cartridge versus a cartridge that didn't go off because the primer didn't work versus a cartridge that was hit with a light primer strike because the primer was seated too deeply because somebody did the primer pocket wrong. Does he reload? What caused this? What are the marks they're talking about? Now, I'm sure that all of this is being held back for the trial. And if it turns out that they can't convict him, they may need to leave all of this sealed up so that somebody doesn't destroy evidence. Okay, now I'm going to explain this one more goddamn time. If somebody had a gun since 2017, and the only way you could be connected to the crime scene is having the one part that would come in contact with that cartridge, the chamber-barrel combination that's easily removed and swapped out. Or maybe, for some reason, because they said it's traced to the gun, the magazine. So take out the magazine that you used that day and take the barrel off. Or get rid of the gun. Simply not having it in his possession would make it completely unfucking possible for him to be caught. And then, of course, now we get to that trope that a lot of conspiracy theorists do. That all bad guys are twirling the mustache and daring you to catch them because it's thrilling to them. Now, that's not outside of the range of reality, but that implies someone is suicidally stupid at this point. And now they're implying there's two people because we have a discrepancy. At 4 p.m., someone was seen in the area, but at 2:30 p.m., the car that ties them to the area left. So we have two people dressed identically. We're now at the level where it's way too complicated. Or he was dressed the way a lot of people dress that time of the year, and the one that was muddy and bloody doesn't totally match what he looked like. It's been years since then, and people are deciding that maybe it could be him, kind of, sort of. And no full copy of the audio-video recording, even data fragments or the data file itself. Okay, let's do this. Cell phone. Would his cell phone track him to the location? He's already claimed he was there, but okay, can it? Maybe, but the data wasn't grabbed at the time. What about his cell phone or computer usage? If he has an identical cell phone, maybe, but very, very unlikely. It's too many years. What's the .40 caliber pistol, and which one type is the SIG Sauer? They're not even mentioning the chambering. Well, now they're calling it a .40 caliber SIG Sauer P226 from 2001 with a certain serial number, which I include in the title of my video. Okay, but when you try to look up the serial number to see what it was originally chambered in, you can't find it easily. Gun companies normally just let you call up and say, yeah, this is my serial number. I need to know what it was originally set up as. Because you can change the barrel. Some of these guns you can just, I'm not kidding, in very few guns, including this one, you can just change out the barrel and adjust the spring tension, and it'll fire a different cartridge. Just a slightly different one. It has to be very similar in power level and stuff, so it'll cycle correctly, but you can do it. Did he load his own ammo? Did they find just a bullet? The hell are they talking about? Why won't they mention the chambering? Okay, now, I have a list of carry conditions that I list here. I also include carry condition 5, which, well, 4.5, if you're reading the list below, where you carry a gun with a round in the chamber and the magazine pulled, so the gun is useless because the gun has to lock you out of using it. But as soon as you put the magazine in, you can just pull the trigger and fire. Now I'm going to get to the commentary for the day. This has nothing to do with the Delphi case. I'm just putting it on because I want that person to go to the 9-minute and 55-second mark to watch the response. Here we go. Why did you come to an atheist's channel? who researches data and misquote the Bible. Atheists are notorious for looking up more shit in the Bible than most religious believers. And why did you misquote Black's Law Dictionary? For the umpteenth motherfucking time. Anybody mentioning Black's Law Dictionary is almost absolutely always misquoting it. When it first came out, it was written in the vernacular of the day, which means it's very confusing to read now, so people sometimes prefer it so they can make up bullshit assertions. But dead ass just misquoting it? Stop posting until you acknowledge you misquoted it. Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition. I'm using this one because that's not the most common one, but it's one of the more common ones that's used. Page 626. As opposed to a monarchy, aristocracy, or an oligarchy, the form of government in which the sovereign power resides in and is exercised by the whole body of free citizens directly and or indirectly through a system of representative government is defined as democracy. Reading that the word monarchy is in the definition for democracy doesn't mean they're the same thing when it's saying that it's not. Stop misquoting dictionaries, encyclopedia, history books, and the goddamn Bible. Next, we're going to get to the Bible. Book of Apocalypse and Revelation to John. 2:9 mentions followers of God who persecute those who believe Jesus is a Messiah, because he was one of many people at the time claiming to be the Messiah, calling himself Christ, which is a massive amount of hubris and also a death sentence because, Caesar will kill you or whatever. That's what's mentioned. That's what its meaning is. That's not transliterating it. Followers of a God, being the supreme being, persecuting someone who claims to be a Messiah, prophesied prior to this, which is considered blasphemy by God-only believers. And Jesus claiming to be Christ, as in Messiah. Christ is a pseudonym at the time for Messiah. Now, you could claim this also another interpretation. An anti-Semitic group claiming they're Semitic and persecuting the church by hiding behind being Semitic group. I can't use the other wording because everybody uses that. People who claim to be God's people but belong to Satan. These are very straightforward. You're not able to mix it up. But some people are claiming, because of the fancy or weird way said, the synagogue of Satan, that they must be a particular group of people that are protected speech restricted on YouTube. Let me get this straight. Me saying that Christ exists, therefore he must be the Antichrist. That's literally the equivalent here. The trouble is, the person who wrote this information you're misquoting was a Jew. Orthodox Jewish Bible, transliterated in English, the best possible work that could be done. Some making the claim and declaring themselves to be Bene Brit, but are not of Brit Chadasha, but are Shul Ha-Satan, of or deluded by Satan people, claiming to be Bene Brit, but are not of Brit Kadasha. Kadasha means the Testament of the Jews. Fake people masquerading as being Jewish, who aren't Jewish, who are with the devil. Why are you misquoting shit you can look up and find out has been misquoted? Why are you reposting anti-Semitic shit? Because it's an anti-Semitic trope to go look for any interpretation of the Bible to find some way to blame the Jews. Why would you repeat that on my channel? The comment will not be allowed to post until you respond to this video, and I'm going to make you respond to the video. If you're watching. Please stop reposting shit that's easily looked up, that you obviously didn't, that are misquotes or outright lies about Black's Law Dictionary and the Bible. Seriously. Yeah, it was about a group of people that were against Jesus because they decided he was acting in hubris by claiming to be a Messiah. That's what that quote was about. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.